I remember that.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another My Hero Academia Manga Chapter read. We have chapter 384 with us, and I'm here with Mark.
Hi.
And Mark, there's something that we always do before every new manga chapter. What would that be?
Recap episode!
It is a recap episode. Thankfully, it's not a 2 weeks worth one. Considering we got this like just last week. This is 383 that we're gonna just do a quick recap on. It focuses on Mina's growth. Well, actually, just everybody else in general, because this is like taking place where Gigantomachia was like just kind of like held down for a long time, and essentially the villains had this little tape recorder set that was pretty much just to wake them up and get them moving again. And literally the heroes are just trying their best just to like prevent that from happening. But Gigantomachia breaks loose, and it looked like everything was gonna go a little crazy. Kirishima had this idea about calling over Shinzo. Shinzo was already taken over. Well, not taken over, but he was held captive by the slime dude who was gonna take him. But Mina steps up. She apparently learned a couple things from Bakugo and Todoroki as far as like her Pacific quirk that does kind of the same idea. Yeah, I was just thinking like an emitter, right? Pretty much to like compress like her stuff in order to like I guess maximize the intensity of the acid. So she was able to melt away like a portion of like Gigantomachia's like claws, so she could save Mount Lady. But she also, at the same time, was able to burn the acid dude, or sorry, actually the slime dude.
Yeah, slam.
He tries to run away. Shinzo gets him like real quick with his quirk, and yeah, it was crazy because I was saying that these villains that like caused a lot of trouble. In this case, the slime dude in the very beginning, you see them being taken down in like 2 steps. And you just see the growth that way. And I was like, nice. But then we get a quick flash forward to like the present day, and you just see All For One on all corners being jumped. I love the Pacific expression he has, in the sense that he barely has any expression. He's just so preoccupied with just holding it down. And then
it looks like he's about to blow a gasket. It's like he's about to. You can see the blood vessels in his. It looks like. I'm surprised he didn't just put the blood vessels in his head about to explode. He looks like he's in like. Ah!
But we have the one last panel like from 383 being like a helicopter. Well, I think a pair, if anything, of helicopters like making their way towards some location.
Making their way downtown.
Hovering fast.
Paces fast. And the. I'm trying to think of what we worked that on enough. I don't know.
Anyway. So we now have chapter 384. Ooh.
It's a small world.
That's
the title of the chapter.
Yeah, that is the title of the chapter. I was like reading like there's a reason you just said that. So we'll go ahead and begin. It's Gigantomachia like taking up the first panel. He has like a whole thing of earth in like at the palm of his hand. He's about to chuck that thing. We got Tokoyami. He's like, how dauntless! Shinzo's brainwashing quirk must be spurring on the giant's onslaught. And here's Hawks. Hence calling this a gamble. Mount Lee's providing the best support she can, but next page. What are we seeing here? Okay, that's All For One. He's just taking all the attacks right now. And right now he's thinking, well, this explains how the Ayama family deceived me, all courtesy of a manipulation quirk. Who's thinking this? I think this might be Hawks, if not still All For One. Hitoshi Shinzo's brainwashing is undone by even a mild impact? Or is undone by even a mild impact. Kirishima! What is this? That is my modus operandi. and once undone, he'll steal back control. So it so what they're saying is that it's essentially a big gamble in the sense that, like, we obviously know that Shinzo's quirk can be broken by just some force applied against him. So even though we have Gigantomachia, yeah. So if it takes just All for One to just land one hit on Shinzo, and it's bad. Let me see the next page. Essentially, All for One just like shoots at Gigantomachia. The dust that like clears out, and it looks like
he's perfectly fine.
Yeah, he's fine. Gigantomachia's actually even speaking, which is weird. A full sentence. Your form changed, but I know you by your scent. Long have I searched for you. All for One, my master. Why? Oh, why did you leave me behind? And All for One's like, yeah.
Oh. He's a monster, but he's got feelings.
He's got feelings, bruh. Hawks is like, forcing a target to speak? Like when we split up the villains? No. The brainwashing wasn't reapplied after that bombardment. And what's going on here? Asks Hawks. Okay, Mark, go ahead.
This is All for One, my precious, lovable Machia. As he's talking to him, I will soon hide myself away. But know this, my successor will seek you out. Then we see this right here. Is still him, I think. We see Machia looking sad. My greatest regret is that I won't get to pamper and spoil you anymore. Then we go back to Machia. On that day, my replacement master had your scent and your voice. I could tell. I would know you anywhere, All for One. After I kept the faith and waited for you for so long, you abandoned me and ran away.
I wasn't expecting to like relate to Gigantomachia or to like empathize with them.
No, like I say, he's actually cared for his master somewhat, and he feels betrayed.
Yeah, he wasn't mindless in that pursuit.
Yeah, like he's a brute. Don't get me wrong, he's a monster, but he's still a person.
Mm-hmm.
We see that on this next panel. We see that Kirishima in Unbreakable took that blast for Shinzo, and they're both fine. Shinzo, only Midoriya and this guy have ever put up a fight against my brainwashing. That delirious muttering while he was brainwashed, expressing his deep-seated anger over being betrayed. That's why I'm just along for the ride with his unbridled rage as a safety feature.
Bruh.
See All for One's face right there, just like, bruh. See that face of just like, they really? Fucking really? I'm with Shinzo again. I'm often told that my ability seems villainous. Should I take this? Or you want to do it?
Yeah, I guess I should go ahead and do this one. We got like a nice cool like 2-pager here. It's not a full like panel spread, but it's definitely just big panels across. But Shinzo was saying, but my quirk can't actually control a person's heart. Looks like or it looks to me like nobody's on board with your grand tail, buddy. Says Hawks. Anyway, back to like the big jump.
Back to beating this man's ass.
Gigantomachia, Mount Lady.
I'm sorry. Is that thing
Dark
she
Shadow.
has in her hands? I'm sorry. Is that weapon that she has in her hands? Does it have a rocket thrust behind it?
Something like that. Yeah. Listen, I think she's got her hands on a Monster Hunter weapon.
That's what I was thinking.
Anyway, here's the command. Keep him pinned down until he vanishes. And
oh my god.
Proceed to see. Oh my god.
X gonna give it to you.
What? Man. Oh my god. any other person.
Would just die.
Hmm. Anyway, somewhere else, up in the skies, we have a helicopter making its way towards somewhere. We hear voices inside the chopper. We definitely don't want to interfere with the actual battle. Yeah, I brought all our snazziest cameras, so we even got a clear view from the outside, from outside the combat zone. Got a camera person asking for a chopper in this storm. You sure your head's screwed on right? I feel like I know this one. Maybe not. Oh well, I guess we'll find out later. But we have an interviewer with a mic and everything. She was saying, I could ask you the same thing. We just got this primordial urge to show the story playing out. Quick cutscene. Hey, check this out. As it shows, essentially, oh, it's the video feed of Gentle holding it down. Yeah, she was saying, when I heard that the guy wrapped in rags was actually a UA student, well, I reviewed my old work a lot, so I remembered him. The same one who, well, a year ago, next page, was shaking his boots before the sports festival.
That's why you recognize her, because she was there.
Look at him now. She got caught up in the emotions. I know, I feel the same sometimes.
Grow up so fast.
We get just a shot of. Oh, I like this shot because it's pretty much just a laptop showing like a live feed. They're live streaming this on YouTube. Gentle swashbuckling channel of daring do.
Look, even the live chat on the side.
Yeah, they have the live chat and everything. But what I like about it is the fact that like there's like little tabs on the top left. So it's just a work affiliate thing, and I'll just tell you guys what's going on the next page here real quick. It's there's no text. It's just a really cool like drawing of just Midoriya like it's Midoriya holding like both arms for Shiggy, and Shiggy's like down the next panel. He's like, ah, let me touch you.
The shit out of me with that. I will say that it is a cool shot, very detailed, and I'm sure we're going to get more on this fight once we get a focus on it.
Yes.
It looks like he's like, yeah, he's just trying to hold back Shigaraki's arms from decaying anything.
Right. And him.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. You can take this one.
All right. Back to the camera person. Looking at the other helicopter. Guess we're not the only ones who felt like we couldn't sit around doing nothing. But what kind of idiot sends a chopper out in a storm? And then we look at the other helicopter. We also recognize this news anchor because she was the one there during Endeavor's speech.
Oh my god.
I apologize for forcing you to tag along. I think she's speaking to her cameraman, who's
Falco? Sorry. Continue.
Falco says, nobody forced me to do a darn thing. We see her thinking about what she's back with Endeavor.
Yeah. She was kind of like criticizing him.
Right. I can't even call this journalism. It's more like I'm addressing a private grievance. It's basically a personal matter. It sounds like she feels bad.
Mm-hmm.
Falco? Hey, the station's closed down, and we ain't getting paid anyhow. So yeah, when it ain't a paid job, then of course it's personal. That goes for them as well.
I feel that.
Reporter. She's looking at her phone, watching the feed, and there are plenty more than just Izuku Midoriya. They had to watch their colleagues step away from the war.
Yeah.
As we see Death Arms, we see Death Arms and a few others right there. So those who remain on the battlefield chose to do so. Either that, or they had no say in the matter. We see Endeavor, we see Gang Orca, we see Present Mike, we see Mirko, we see Rocklock, we see Edgeshot, we see Fat Gum. We see a whole lot of the crew. News outlets worldwide are reporting the fall of Japan, but I'm here to get the word out that we still have people fighting for us. We see the helicopter going over, and we see a shot of the school as well, along with just, I believe it's something that might have crashed in a field, and just the ocean itself.
Mm-hmm.
This story will be told whether they claim victory or taste defeat.
This is cool.
You're up.
Man, I love the shots because like that last page is like the chopper obviously, and then like what they're looking down on, which is like mass destruction. In another perspective is just like the whole UA like facility like falling down with obviously Gentle dealing with that. And the last panel, this I kind of like this poetically. It's just like just amidst all of that, it's just kind of like a transition over to like what's going on elsewhere. As we see the next page, it's just like it looks like a couple of kids just like holding onto a tablet watching the live feed right here. But I think the reporter continues by showing their story, and however it may end, we unify everyone and make the world. As we see that Gentle video like jump up in viewers from like 7,600 to 20,306. That much smaller. Just to finish the thought. The kids are like, wait, where's Japan again? That's where All Might's from.
I've been waiting for you to see this next page.
Oh my god! Well, holy sh!
You're gonna notice something.
Okay, all right. Let me take this in. This is a full page spread. We have just shots of people's perspectives, looking at pretty much the live feed here. The reporter has the last couple words. We can let them know that this story is not over yet.
Very important that you look at the pictures of all these people.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Melissa.
I'm sorry, Mark, but there was something that led to this.
He's been spoiled.
I was spoiled because it was one of those things where it's like, oh, of course the movies are canon and everything like that. So why is someone pointing? Oh, and it cuts to like the tiniest like manga like spreads, but now I see it. But pretty much it's just to kind of tell everyone what's going on in these two pages. It's a spread of like not every single, but like key characters like looking out at what's going on. Just sticking to this live feed, and what you'll see in the left hand side, you have a shot of Melissa, though you don't really see her eye pupils or anything, but she is pretty much wearing glasses, long hair. You recognize that's her. What's more, if you look over to your right side, you're gonna see two kids overhearing what's going on in the live feed from a couple people up front. Those are Rhodey's kid, or not kids, siblings. Yes.
And then if you look to the left of Melissa,
look on the left of Melissa. Oh,
you didn't realize that one, did you?
No, now I remember. But like, yeah, those kids. Yeah, those are the kids from the second movie. So nice. When they actually went to the island.
Heroes.
Yeah.
There's the American heroes. There's Death Arms.
Yeah.
Death Arms is like, he's just like depressed.
Yeah. I mean,
get back in the fight, man.
It's not too late. Just start running when you say run.
Right, there's the Pharaoh guy. There's our Admiral Akbar-like character, and then there's the President of the United States.
Oh, Mr. President, are you getting this?
Mr. President.
I wonder if there's something about the one with the cat. I don't know if there is. Like, whoever that person is. You know, when I say that, it's like, cat. Who's associated Aizawa? But obviously we know where Aizawa is, but...
I'm trying to think if I remember anything about that guy. I don't think any of these are David.
Yeah.
Maybe part of them is David, I don't know.
Yeah, from what I remember, David should be in the cellar.
Yeah, it's like he should be in jail.
Yeah, which they should have done a shot of that. Maybe they'll do it later, but...
But yeah, we see the American heroes. We see everyone from the they were also in the movies, and then we see everyone else who's also in the movies. So it's just a nice shot to tie everything together.
Yeah. And not just that, and also this is to be continued. This is the last page. Yeah, no. So we've kind of known that like the movies like are canon.
Sort of.
Kind of, because it was always Horikoshi who was just kind of talking about like, hey, if I recall correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's always kind of said like, he never really like fully like gave it the affirmative. But it was always like this is where this would take place, This is where this event would happen.
The timeline would be like right here.
Right. But he never said like yes or no to it.
He said he's hinted that it is like, yeah, it works.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's letting you know, like, yeah.
Wait, that actually like that kind of complicates stuff going on from the second movie, where there's just a temporal like passing on of the quirk of All for One or One for All to Bakugo. But then, a miracle happened. It got brought back to Midoriya, and Bakugo just didn't remember the entire thing. Interesting.
Either that, or maybe it could. I imagine it's either what you're saying, or perhaps just still showing them, but perhaps.
Oh, you're saying like it's something where like the characters exist in the universe, but whether like the movie happened or not, it's kind of
maybe not the same interaction.
Yeah, it may not be the same like type of thing.
I think it's probably one or the other.
Yeah, so I guess in a way, like it's not like outright saying like the movies happened per se, but it's definitely like they could have just happened. Like the characters are here.
They might have. They're right there.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it happened. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I don't know.
Right. So essentially, like the idea could have been like, obviously Melissa exists, David exists, but whether or not she had an interaction with like Midoriya specifically, giving him like the initial like armband resistance from the movie versus like what he wears now, it could have been like, well, they met, or maybe not, and All Might just made the order for it. So interesting. It's weird. I would just say like right off the bat, it's all canon, but this is just like one of those possibilities. Like, oh hey, here's an Easter egg, if anything.
It's hard to say. We'd have to wait for Horikoshi to
essentially
ask him like at events or something like that to clarify.
Yeah, are these like specific like photos and images of like the characters like from the movie, or is just like the characters in the universe?
Yeah, and that's always the best way to do it, is to ask them at events and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I figured that out with Ruby, where it's like a lot of the canon can be just told by like the people in the panels and not necessarily in the actual source media.
Yeah, because I mean the source media does its best, but sometimes the creator didn't get to explain it as much as they'd like to, so they do with like, okay, well, this is my actual intentions, or this is like what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I've been figuring out recently that's the same thing with the whole content creation in general. There's always a story behind it, and there's some contextual stuff that doesn't get like put into it, but does exist simply because the thought was created for it. We just don't know whether or not we get that information or not. But yeah, this was to kind of like reflect back on the chapter. I think this is a very solid chapter. I personally like it because it's very kind of poetic in the sense that it looks back on all the different characters, not every single one of them under the sun, but a few select characters that have been influenced by like our characters or the events going on, and how it kind of like it helps like rope everything together, where it's like, this happened here, obviously this helped better our characters so they move forward, but there was much more of an impact than just like our character learning from that. It's also the characters they influence too that get pushed along. So when I saw like Lady Nagant in the previous chapters, that was definitely one of those things where it's like Deku did that for them, and honestly, like everyone else is just like looking on to everything going on. It's just really nice, especially when you see the helicopter scene where you literally see people who had like mixed like feelings about it, or were just simply moved. Obviously, we had something as minor as like one of the reporters who actually interviewed like Deku like really early on. Didn't really think much about Deku at that time, but now they see them. It's like it's you. Oh God, they don't really elaborate on like the feelings, but you kind of like fill in the gaps for them. And I feel like it's even more so when you look at the reporter who actually criticized like Endeavor and how she's kind of taking on action in this case. There was no real assignment for her to do this, but she felt like kind of guilty in a way of like having that feeling. And now she's doing this all personal with Falco.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, like things like this usually are saved up for like the end for sure. So seeing it all like put together, like all these characters brought back, is just such a nice thing to see. It really like ties everything together, especially for like the final act. So I think that's all I wanted to say about it. Is that it's the great thing to rope all previous characters we've seen before. It's one of those like oh moments.
Like
But yes, I did want to just say real quick, new chapter will be coming in a week, so we'll see how that like unfolds. But Mark, is there anything we'd like to say about the chapter?
I don't feel like there's much to say.
Got you.
I feel like it's very self-explanatory.
I think the biggest thing to talk about would be the movies now. But we definitely like I like that we explored the possibility that like it's canon, but also like in the same way it doesn't like outright like confirm like all the events that happened in the movies actually happened, you know? Because the whole One For All bit was probably the big thing that made us wonder like, oh, okay, well, all the movies could make sense except for the second movie. Because that wasn't really quite explained as far as like, how did Bako have access to the powers but then lose it when it should have like worked like that. But I mean, there's time. There's also Horikoshi just explaining the fact that like it could just be like, you know, they're just appearing. That doesn't necessarily mean the movies happened, but he could also just kind of explain it in a way that would kind of make sense. You know, there's always that possibility. But I guess until then, we'll just kind of be left with this. So yeah, they just like left a footprint in the show or series. But alrighty, I guess with that we'll go ahead and call it here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in for another manga chapter read. We'll see you guys in the new one, which will be chapter 385. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.